So if you watched my haul, you know that my last chatty get ready with me was entirely drugstore. But the other half of that haul is very much like prestige, higher end sort of price range. And that's what we're going to be playing with today. I have a bunch of new stuff from Tarte, from Too Faced, from Hourglass, and I have some new stuff to share with y'all from IT Cosmetics. I have found it really exciting lately getting reacquainted with brands that I have, used years ago, but they just get like buried in the tsunami of new things all the time. And like returning, having the memories wash back over me of how good something is. And IT Cosmetics is partnering with me for a portion of today's video, so you'll be seeing some IT Cosmetics products throughout the video. We'll be using the CC cream today, and then I have some eyeshadow sticks, but also first I wanted to chat with y'all about some of the skincare that I have been using. So I have been alluding to my skincare routine kind of getting a switch up lately. I have been fortunate enough to get to try some products from IT Cosmetics skincare range, and they've just absolutely blown my mind. So I got a bunch of questions actually on my Instagram yesterday because I was wearing some of the skincare products. I was wearing these two right here. So this is the Confidence in Your Beauty Sleep Serum and the Confidence in Your Beauty Sleep Skin Transforming Pillow Cream. So the first thing that everybody seemed to notice on my Instagram stories when I was wearing this, they were like, what filter is that? And it wasn't a filter. These have this really incredible like barrier that they put on your skin so that the skincare doesn't come up on your pillow, so you're actually like getting the efficacy of the ingredients. This is the serum. It is gorgeously like thick and nourishing. It has like an oil serum kind of vibe to it. It's got vitamin C and ferulic acid in it and polydatin, which is similar to resveratrol. So it's like an anti-aging ingredient. And since there are only 7 ingredients and none of those ingredients is water, it is 100% actives and super potent. And that fact is also going to help the actives like vitamin C stay more stable and not degrade over time. And then the Confidence in Your Beauty Sleep Cream, it's for all skin types, and it is full of ceramides and hyaluronic acid and a proprietary complex that's gonna make your skin look really bouncy and feel really bouncy. And again, it's got that really fantastic barrier on it, and that's what you're gonna see as this kind of dries down. It's like everything just kind of, the word is snatched, okay? Like it starts to just kind of like tauten your skin. Like you can just see this really fantastic finish that it puts on your skin without drying it out. It doesn't feel tight, it doesn't feel dry, it actually feels really nourished. But I just was very impressed both with like the, the benefits that I've seen using it night after night, but also like the cosmetic elegance of it. You can just see, look at it, look at just the sheen on my skin. So we are gonna put on makeup today. That's the whole point of the video, but I am perfectly content with the way that my skin looks. Like everything else is just icing on the cake, as it were, because these are the kinds of things that I love to be able to, share with y'all because I can count on them so much. So yeah, hopefully that answers some of the inquiries that I have received lately about my skin. So yeah, that is again the Confidence in Your Beauty Sleep Serum Plump and Radiance and the Confidence in Your Beauty Sleep Skin Transforming Pillow Cream. And you can shop these down below using my links. I think that these are just absolutely wonderful, and I love both the short term and the long term that I've gotten from them. I've noticed an improvement in my skin tone and brightness. It's just something that I battle, is dullness in the wintertime and really all year, but also hyperpigmentation and discoloration and things like that. I've just seen a marked improvement in it, both like I said, in the short term and the long term. So thank you to IT Cosmetics for letting me try these products and for partnering with me for a portion of today's video. Like I said, you're going to see more IT Cosmetics throughout this video. So let's go ahead and jump in. All right, so we can kick it off now with the CC Plus. So this is the Your Skin But Better CC Plus Color Correcting Full Coverage Cream. I used to swear by this stuff, especially when I had more like acne prone skin, because the coverage is incredible, but the finish looks exactly like skin, and it has titanium dioxide 9% and zinc oxide 6.3%. So it's all mineral sunscreen, but as you get into the deeper shades, they have engineered them so that they don't have a white cast, even though they do have the mineral sunscreen properties in them. So I think that that is really, really cool. I like to hear, brands not just innovating, but also like updating to be more inclusive. So my favorite thing about this stuff is like, even though yes, you can get full coverage out of it, it's so skin-like and skin-loving that you can kind of put it where you need it, and then it just very seamlessly feathers into the rest of your skin. So just using a teeny tiny bit here, and I have the shade Fair, and I'm using their Heavenly Luxe Complexion Perfection number 7 brush. This is the all over side, and then this is the concealer side. I have always sworn by their brushes. They do a collection with Ulta, and I used exclusively the IT Cosmetics for Ulta foundation brush for like years and years and years until I absolutely wore the darn thing out. Like, she put in the work. So yeah, phenomenal shade match. If you're my skin twin, I definitely think that like Fair is the way to go. But like, look at that. I'm just like one of those, what are the infomercials where they're just like, oh, wow. But since it's so packed with pigment, I mean, it just keeps spreading and spreading and spreading, and it stays really, really lightweight on the skin. I've done like wear tests of this. I did like the matte back then. Like, I'm telling y'all, I was obsessed with this formula, all of these formulas, and they just, you know, recently came out with the CC Plus Nude Glow, and I love that one too. It's a little bit more of like a satin finish for combo skin, but this is just like my ideal finish. You know, it's gonna give you that like soft dewiness without being really like reflective or sticky, and it does have a lot of technology to the formula, so it performs really beautifully and wears all day. I've never, ever, ever had an issue with this, even when I lived in Texas, because it's like really hydrating, but it's also really beautifully long wearing. And I mean, half a pump, boom. You can get full coverage from it, and that's always going to like help the SPF claim too, because obviously it's a physical SPF. You want to wear another SPF always on your skin. That was the only thing I had on before I got on camera today, but it's going to give anti-aging benefits, and it's actually like a very potent amount of sunscreen to have in a makeup. It's not just a throwaway. So it's going to blur your pores, but it also has this really nice natural glow to it, and that's because it's actually got a hydrating serum as its base. And I always talk about complexion products like having the ability to be flexible in their coverage. Like, if they say that they're full coverage or they say that they're medium to buildable or whatever, I always appreciate, especially because I'm always trying to bear in mind buyers of makeup not wanting to own like 5 different, you know, foundation products just to get different looks depending on what mood they're in. I just really like being able to offer a foundation that has so much flexibility, because yeah, you know, you can build this up to full coverage. I'm telling you, because I have in the past, because I have had very, very bad skin in the past, very troublesome skin, and this covers it beautifully, and it hydrates it really well, because like, you know, when you have like healing acne and stuff, it tends to get really dry. This just maintains all of the like hydration on the day, but also you can mix this with like a primer and oil or something and get a really beautiful skin tint from it. It's just a really intelligent formula that stood the test of time for me. So I'm just like really psyched to have it back in my hands, because it's an affordable option too compared to what I'm typically talking about. I'm typically just like touting Chanel, right? Like, this is the ultimate skin finish, it's so high performing, but it's like, no, you don't always want to pay $135 for some foundation. So this is a little more practical. Little more practical, right? Especially because like, even though I recommend the Rare Beauty sometimes, that one also has chemical sunscreen in it, and some people are just sensitive to chemical sunscreen. I just think that this really hits all the marks because it has the physical sunscreen only. So, all right, let's go in with some concealer. I don't have a new concealer today. I'm just gonna use the Kosas. I did this makeup look kind of testing it out yesterday, and I'm realizing that I don't really like the Charlotte Tilbury Brightening Concealer anymore. I feel like it ruins the look of my makeup every single time because it's just too darn bright. I think I might have just gotten the wrong shade in it, but I mean, it's so white. It just gives me this like weird like hubcap look around my eyes. It's just not the vibe. So this is a brand new tube of 1.5C from Kosas here. Ooh! I went on my Instagram and I asked y'all for questions too. I'm gonna try to like not let this one get quite as deep and salty as the last one did. I was grateful for the opportunity to rant, but it's like I don't always want to feel those vibes. But yeah, I got some really, really good kind of like jumping off points. So as soon as I get this blended, I'll grab my phone. So yeah, this is the concealer side, and it's great because it gets like right in here. You know, it gets in all the spots. In fact, I think that it was the IT Cosmetics brush that converted me to a foundation brush user initially. Because I was very much like a sponge girl because everybody was a sponge girl back in the day, you know? And I discovered a brush and I was like, oh no, this like preserves so much of the texture of the actual makeup for me. So I'm really just using this to kind of camouflage discoloration and stuff and just make everything look really even. But I love how the combination of all of the stuff that I have on my skin right now still really looks like skin. And it has its own dry down. Like it has its own kind of self-setting, self-refreshing property to it. This is kind of like, especially when I'm going for a look, you know, I'm not just trying to go for like a everyday no makeup kind of thing. Like this is my ideal amount of coverage because I still feel like myself and the match is so good. Now where's my gosh darn phone? La la la. Alrighty, let's pull up some questiones. Let's just hang out and have some fun. And actually, if I recall correctly, a lot of these questions that I got are kind of from newer people who need a refresher on some of the stuff that I mentioned. I feel like all the time, but like I don't want to make anybody go back and like watch every single one of my videos or something. And so it might just be a nice resource for like frequently asked questions. For example, what's your favorite sunscreen? I know you've said what it is before, but I'm lazy. I've been trying a lot of them lately, but I will say as far as like something that doesn't complain under makeup, I think that the Tula one is probably my favorite, the Mineral Magic. Even though I can wear a chemical sunscreen, I just feel like mineral sunscreens are more effective for me. I just think that the physical barrier really helps. But we did just try the one from e.l.f. and that is a chemical sunscreen. I don't really know how effective of a sunscreen it is. It's only SPF 30, and like this foundation is SPF 50 for foundation. But it's very pretty, you know, it's nice looking, but it's like, I know that if I wore that all summer, I'd still have to like, you know, go in and get, you know, probably 3 peels at the end of the summer to bring my skin back. So do you recommend getting a university art degree? That is an interesting question. Let me noodle on that for a second. Okay, so we're going to use the Tarte Sculpt tape for the first time on camera right now. Obviously, you know, piggybacking on the packaging for the Charlotte Tilbury bronzing contour wand of like the same ilk. And I'm that person who's not a huge fan of this as the applicator and like dotting that directly on my skin. It's just, I end up with too much product on my face. And so I'm gonna try and be really careful with that. This one does feel like it has more pigment to it than the Charlotte Tilbury one, but like, look at that color. Look at it. And when it gets, like when you actually blur it out, it does get a little bit warmer, but it's a really nice kind of cool rosy color in and of itself. So hopefully I don't apply too much because that is what I tend to stinking do. I just tend to put too much of it on. And it's like the, you know, 3rd step in my routine. So if I do that, it's like a lot to have to work back from. Putting this on a 106 from BK here, but it is kind of somewhere in between a bronzer and a contour on me. Because it's so translucent, I feel like what's left behind is actually something a little bit yellower than I would want. But that's okay. It's gonna be pretty chill. I really just don't want a lot of it on. So as far as getting a university art degree, here's the thing. I don't know if this is always true, but a lot of people talk about, especially their like graduate degrees and stuff, as being kind of like a good feather in their cap and something to put on their resume, but that like the experience of it was not necessarily, they didn't add a lot to their actual like education. You know, it's not always the case. I mean, obviously like an MBA, I can't speak for everybody, but I've definitely heard that like sometimes it's about having a really impressive line on your resume and sometimes it's about the actual experience. And you know, when you're becoming a fine artist, as it were, like if you actually want that to be your career, I don't really think that people are looking for your like resume in that sense. They're not being like, well, do they have a BFA? Like what were their like minors? You know, like that's not as important, but ooh, the experience. Actually being in art school and getting to touch so many different media, that's huge. And the community that you build, oh my God, I don't want to go to a high school reunion, but I would love to go to a BFA reunion with all of the people that were in the BFA program with me, because like those are my ride or dies. Like I love those people. And there's just something I think really valuable about being completely, it's like the only time in your life you're going to be able to be totally immersed in something. And I still worked full time when I was in college. I was a hairstylist, but still like the classes, at least at Florida State, are like 2.5 hours long. And then you're expected to put in just as much studio time outside of class as you do in class. And so it's like, you know, I did drawing, painting, printmaking with a minor in humanities, but I also did a lot of like wheel throwing. I loved wheel throwing, not necessarily like hand building ceramics or anything, but I really liked working on the potter's wheel, and just the ability to just kind of at that age not have any other constraints and have the freedom to create and feel like you don't have to optimize your time. You're not sitting there being like, is this making me money? Is this creative endeavor worth it because, you know, of the hours that I'm putting in, etc. Like, it really gives you the opportunity to just spread out and ignore time. And I haven't had that ability since. So it's super valuable in that sense. I would say that, you know, that goes for undergrad. The main advice that I've heard for grad school, for getting like an MFA, is to wait as long as you need to in order to feel like you're in the right headspace to get the most out of it, going back into a master's degree, because again, you're not going to be able to just like go simulate that experience at another time. So if you kind of go prematurely, you might like want to go back later on when you feel like you're more mature in your art style and stuff like that. And like, you kind of can't, like, you can't get a doctorate in art, to my knowledge. And so to be able to just have access to all the studios and be in that community, it's almost better, from what I've heard. I don't have an MFA, but it's almost better to wait, you know, especially because an MFA is like another $30,000, right? It's like ridiculous. So I'm digging that. I think that went really well. I was very ginger with it because I have been using it lately and I end up with too much of it on all the time, but that's gorgeous. That's really pretty. That was the Tarte. I do hate that packaging though. It really does look like an unlicensed stock photo that has the watermarks all over it. And Tarte also, they put this out and it's very much a dupe that's $9 cheaper. So it's like, you know, yes, it's technically less expensive, but it's also less product by a little bit. So it's kind of negligible at the end of the day, but it's dead on dupe for the Dior Rosy Glow blush. So this is called Energy Amazonian Clay Skintuitive 12-Hour Blush. The thing is, you know, people have asked me, like, cause the Skintuitive portion of it, right? People ask me like, does the Dream Walk blush from Kaleidos have the color adjusting ingredient in it, the pH adjuster, because the Dior has a little bit of it in it, and this is called Skintuitive blush because it has a little bit of like a pH ingredient that's going to adapt. And not necessarily adapt, but it's going to do something different on, you know, your skin tone. And I usually am very annoyed by those sorts of ingredients in lip products because there's so much of them and they react so strongly. They always look the same, but like this is, I feel like it's the right use case for that ingredient. But my answer is I don't know if it's in Dream Walk because I don't know what the ingredient is. Like, I don't know whether it's like Red 13 or like what, you know what I mean? They have a chemical name, but that's not the ingredient name. And so I can't like spot it. Someone told me once, but they just said it was like Red 7 or like Red Lake 3 or something like that. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if that's true, and I like have no way to find out. So we are going to pretend that Tarte was a contour, even though it was kind of a bronzer, because I still want to use a little bit of my Haus Labs bronzer because I like it. It's so pretty. It's so like rosy and gorgeous. Oh, that was one of my most vindicating moments, was when, you know, Hannah sat down at this table, Hannah being as pale as she is, Hannah Louise Poston, by the way. And she picked up my Gucci bronzer and she opened it up and she goes, oh my God, that's so much lighter than I thought that it was going to be. And she turns it around to me and Simbri and she goes, it's rosy. And I was like, yeah. She goes, I'm gonna buy that. And it was like the most un-Hannah thing ever for her to go, I'm gonna buy that, because like she never buys anything. I felt so, I was just like, cause I'm this like materialist, you know, I like in this room, I'm just like surrounded by everything that I've ever been like, I'm gonna buy that. And the fact that like she was so convinced by the appearance of that color of that bronzer that she was like, I'm gonna buy that. I was like, yeah, that's powerful. So that was just a little bit of the Haus Labs bronzer to give things a little bit of life. This is a Lizzie Fortunato necklace, by the way. This was like such a gift to myself. I have been eyeing this thing for ages and I love it so much. All right, so I think we're gonna go, I'm gonna take a break on blush. I think we're probably gonna end up going in with more blushes, but for now we're gonna go on my eyes. I'm gonna use these Superhero No Tug Shadow Sticks from IT Cosmetics. I had never seen these before, and I have 2 shades. They're really, really chill. They're gonna be kind of the base of the look, I think, even though I have been going pretty low key on my eyes, so I don't know how crazy we're gonna go. But I have Courageous Cream, which is basically my skin tone, and then we have Transformative Taupe. So I'm gonna start with the cream one, and these are just matte, the ones that I have. But since they're no tug, you know, they get that nice kind of silicone-y finish to them, but they do grip in a nice way. And for me, a lot of times, especially when it comes to like wearing a minimal eye look, the main thing for me is to camouflage the veins underneath my skin because I just feel like they're distracting. It's kind of like a lot of people are, you know, trying to cover up dark circles, or they're trying, you know what I mean? We all have our thing. And for me, it's just kind of the blue of the veins behind the skin of my eyes. And I feel like just adding that, it's kind of an all-in-one solution. It's like a primer and a powder on top. And no one would really know that I have eyeshadow on, but it's just so much less distracting to me, which most people probably wouldn't even notice it, you know? And then it kind of sets down. Easy peasy. But it doesn't do that thing like the Thrive ones do, where it sets down so fast, like good luck. It stays a little bit movable. So there's that. Again, I could just leave that. And I'm pretty satisfied with it as like a no makeup eye makeup look. But this Transformative Taupe color is beautifully cool, and it does a really nice job of building a believable shadow right there that you wouldn't even necessarily clock as makeup. And this comes in a whole menagerie of shades. I just happen to choose the lightest ones. I just know myself with cream eyeshadows at this point. I keep kind of trying to get too ambitious with them, and I choose ones that are like really high contrast on my skin, and then I don't end up using them because they're too hard to get like a really good, like opaque, consistent blend on. But if you work with something that's really close to your skin tone, it's a lot easier. And I think I'm going to like work with the like bronzer and blush and stuff like that on my eyes as well, because like that's what I've been doing and I really dig it, but I want to use this one. Because y'all know I'm in this like coral mood and I really like these, okay? I feel like these are a good alternative to the Gucci blushes. These are the Tarte Cloud Crush because they give you the same kind of satisfaction of that beautiful resin case, and it just feels really precious in your hands, but it's a lot less expensive. I mean, they're still expensive, but they're not $50 like the Gucci ones, and I kind of find the colors to be more exciting. Plus, they didn't copy the Gucci blushes. They're not covered in stars. They're not perfectly cylindrical or anything like that. Like, they give off a very similar vibe to, this is my favorite packaging that I own, you know, very similar vibe, but it's still its own thing. It doesn't feel like it's trying to be a dupe. So I love that. These are really, really pretty. And also I know that, you know, it's not always the case with everything, and I understand why brands don't do it, but I did like that Too Faced made the compact the same color as the blush inside, even though this is a replaceable pan. You can pull this out. I mean, you'd have to get a depotting tool, but you can get it out of there. This is the shade Tequila Sunset. And it's that just, healthy, beachy, coral color. They're quite pigmented, look at that. Ooh. But it'll all make sense when I get it on my eyes. I'm using the BK104 for this. And it's also going on really intensely because I don't have any powder on. So once I powder a little bit, like in the, like under my eyes and around my nose and stuff, it's all gonna make a lot more sense. But this is a very khaki, like classic khaki kind of look because it is low coverage on the skin, and then, you know, a lot more natural looking because like that flush really simulates just, you know, natural skin. A lot of times when I'm not wearing like any complexion product, I will just put on Salt New York Maple kind of like a lot of places, not everywhere obviously, but like all over my cheeks and all over my forehead and stuff like that, because it just gives my face dimension and makes it look a little bit like healthier without it looking like it's makeup. I feel like that's really helpful. I'm definitely gonna need some real contour, because like, or maybe more bronzer. I just feel like that Tarte contour isn't really doing as much. Either way, we're gonna go in with an eyeshadow brush with that same color on my eyebrows. And I'm gonna kind of take that up here. I got the new Chantecaille too, and I like it. I like the new eyeshadow quad and everything, but it's a real showstopper in terms of like the brightness of the lip and the blush and stuff, so I didn't want to like overshadow their vision by incorporating it with a whole bunch of other stuff. There's just something so cheerful about coral, and not everybody can wear it, but I did see a really great discussion in my comments the last time that I did like a coral and peach look, and people were like, okay, so I have this skin tone, what would give a similar effect to coral on her on my skin? And I was like, what a cool conversation. I love that people are having conversations about color theory in my comments. That makes me happy. Taking a little bit of that underneath here. To keep this from being so tonal, I think I'm going to pull out something very exciting. Now, I am wading, tiptoeing slowly into this world because I know that there's just a lot to mention, but I did pick up the Sagrado palette from Prados because I am working on either doing an entire video that's just focused on really good indigenous brands and like Native American, Native Canadian, you know, just the brands that I have access to. It's either that or just integrating them more onto my channel and like, you know, letting that be part of the conversation because, you know, there's some great stuff out there. But like, look at this palette and these formulas are unbelievable. So I think in the spirit of what we're doing here, I just kind of want to balance it out with like a good bedroomized color. Absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna use that kind of on the outside of the lid there. And if you want to kind of like follow my logic here, the reason that I'm doing this is to obscure the outer half of my lid so that it kind of looks like it sort of fades in to a false crease. But I still want the local color that you see to be the blush tone. And this has a little bit of like a rosiness to it. And I just felt like they would go really nicely together, and they do. And I'll use a little bit of that on, you know, a very small brush, like a pencil brush, yeah. And do the same thing kind of on the lower outside. But I mean, the formula, oh, these are just great. They're really, really good. Trixie uses Prados a lot and just speaks really highly of their formulas, and I have to agree. God, look at that. Whew. Gorgeous. And there are so many really good mattes in here. Is that kind of what I'm looking for? Might be a little bit warm. See if I can mix that in with like a light pink. I'm always paler than I think that I am. And then I have Hindash's Boy Tears that I'm planning on using because it's just such a good universal topper to make anything glow. And you can really control the glow. Grabbing a little bit of a matte white. I knew a matte white growing up. I still owe him money. There's a little bit of matte white and just setting all the kind of grippy texture that was created by the little shadow sticks from It Cosmetics. So that's lovely. I want to take just a touch more of the brown, make sure everything's really blended seamlessly here, even though, I mean, Boy Tears is going to overlap everything, but pretty. All right, let's pull out Boy Tears. It's interesting because it's like, oh, it's just a really neutral champagne. It's got a little bit of something peach to it. And I love that about it. So it's gonna kind of complement this. I also pulled the Natasha Denona chrome pot thing in like apricot or peach or whatever it is, thinking maybe that would be an option, but I think this is gonna work better. It's just a lot softer, a lot more subtle, and you don't have to push as hard into it. To push so hard in that Natasha Denona stuff to pick anything up and to put it down. And it's just a really, really great, versatile tool to be able to just kind of add light, like pull focus towards certain spots. All right, I don't have a new mascara or anything, so I'm gonna powder, eyeliner, mascara, brows. And then we're gonna come back and I'm gonna put this Hourglass lipstick on and see how that goes. And if it doesn't work out, I have plenty of other lips. Plenty of other lip colors to use, so we will just meet back here in a moment. across, like, those are the same. They're exactly the same. Dior, Tarte, and there's something else on my hand right there. So that's, ignore that. You'd be hard pressed to see a difference if you didn't know which one was which. Ooh, I forgot, I have this. Hopefully this doesn't mess up my whole look, but I just got this Dual Shield Set and Glow Mist from Exa. This is supposed to be, you know, a setting mist, and it has a really lovely sprayer on it, but when I spray it on me, it smells like lavender and rosemary, which is fine, but it also has a little bit of like a food smell to it, you know? I don't want to do too much because like if it makes me like crazy wildly glowy, I don't want that, but yeah, it has a taste. So let's do this lip here. Right now, actually, what I have on my lips is the Laneige. I finally got myself one of these and ooh, I like it so much. But yeah, this is the Vanilla Lip Sleeping Mask. Can't say enough about it. Everyone is right about it. So again, we talked about this in the haul video, but this is the shade Tide, and it is nowhere near as cool as I thought that it was going to be, but I think it's still gonna be really pretty. Oh God. The way that it sits on the table, like you're always scared it's gonna fall over, that is just very odd. I'm gonna use my khaki lip liner here, see if like it goes well with it. It's really good for like correcting your lip line if your lip line is a little inconsistent. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Eileen from Thrive. Like it's a little bit of like just a neutral pinky nude. So yeah, this is the Hourglass Unlocked. Is it just me or is that lip kind of orange? What in the world? It's supposed to be like the most desaturated kind of like lavender color, and it's so orangey. What's that about? I don't like that. Like to the point that I want to return it. Like that's really annoying. It looks so different from the swatch online. So we have plenty of other lip things. Like I said, we have, ooh, you know what? I'll be right back. So I made an order online and I couldn't help myself. I had to take Hannah's recommendation on the Ami Collet lip gloss. It is the lip treatment oil. It's that beautiful original brown. It is just so pretty. I'm gonna take that foundation brush and just like touch up around my lips again. Just, I feel like the remnants of that are just so warm and orange. This is like the ideal kind of like cool brown for this look. So the only thing is, this thing is really like flexible and it kind of takes me by surprise every time. Look at that color, look at it. It's a little sticky, like syrupy, you know? Kamiko brow gel. And yeah, I want just a little more something on the cheeks because I can't be stopped. It's something to pull in the coolness. I feel like everything is quite warmy peach, so I'm gonna use this. So this is Desire from Rituel de Fille. Yeah, and I'm gonna pick that up on the 109 here from BK and get a nice even amount on there. And what that's gonna do is just kind of like change the local color ever so slightly. Do you see that? Because it's just a really nice cool purple. And it brings everything together. It almost makes the skin look more blurred around the eyes because you're kind of canceling out yellow with purple. Use it to kind of contour a little bit. And I also feel like I pulled the shimmer up a little bit too high in the crease. I'm gonna grab a really, really fair, like neutral kind of color here and go over that and just change the way that the light hits it so that it's not so distracting looking. It's not about the color, it's about the texture and the way that the light hits it. See? Kind of makes a difference. Makes a difference to me. See, it's little tweaks like that where you just kind of get to know your own face So this is the vibe. This is the vibe today. This is definitely like a makeup look I would wear on a regular basis. Lately it's super chill, super easy, super comfortable, and this foundation wears all day. All day. But I want to go ahead and quick and dirty go through each one and tell y'all my thoughts on them. So obviously the IT Cosmetics CC Plus Color Correcting Full Coverage Cream is a home run. Like I said, I've been using this for years on and off, and I'm just really glad to have it back in my collection. I loved the CC Plus Nude that they put out last year, but this is even more applicable to my skin type, and I can just feel how much my skin loves wearing it. The blushes, I really like these formulas, but the colors, I mean, obviously I couldn't use just these today because I needed a little bit more coolness. I think that the Tarte is obviously going for something, you know, recognizable here. I mean, it's so on the nose. They didn't do the packaging the same, which is great. And it's $9 cheaper, like I said, than the Dior for slightly less product. They're pretty on par with one another, to be honest. So, I mean, it's whichever one you prefer, if you prefer any of them. So I don't think that there's necessarily a savings to be had here. And I don't like the compact any more than I prefer the Dior compact. Neither of them feels particularly like life-changing, but it's nice, you know, it's a good blush. It's pretty, especially for like that neon kind of blush color you get, but I don't think there's anywhere that you can buy Tarte that you can't buy Dior, you know? And I also think that Dream Walk from Kaleidos, which is a lot more affordable, is, you know, identical. Now, as far as the holistic experience of using makeup that I always talk about, and that I've been talking about a lot more lately, Too Faced, man, they're really upping their game, I feel like, in terms, I mean, they've always had very fancy packaging, I feel like, but this feels fancy sophisticated. Like it has this kind of preciousness to it, like I said, like a box of chocolates or something, that just makes it feel really special. It's cutesy, but it's not so, it doesn't feel like toy makeup. It definitely feels heavy and luxurious feeling, and I love, y'all know, I'm a sucker for like the gold, what is this called? I don't know, but it's just like that, you know, it feels like a coin almost on the outside, these ridges. Someone tell me what the name is. I know there's a name, and I love specific names for things. Like I love that, you know, the thing on the top of the champagne is called a mousselet kind of thing like that. That's the kind of crap that gets my juices flowing. So anyway, I really adore this packaging, and I think that these are a great alternative to the Gucci blushes. They give you a really similar kind of like luxurious experience, but for, I think they're $30 instead of $49, so I like that very much. These eyeshadow sticks are actually a lot greater than the sum of their parts. You know, it's not actually that often that you find a very functional matte eyeshadow stick, and I think that I, you know, chose the right colors as well, but they just were a seamless addition to my eye look, and I could see these being something that it's like, instead of a primer, I use these as a base of any look, because it's like you automatically get the color correction, color cancellation that I kind of want when I'm covering up the veins, you know, visible through my skin. And then the taupe color for my skin tone is going to give a natural looking shadow that makes me feel like I don't have to work as hard with the actual like powder eyeshadows or whatever it is I choose to put on top. It might turn me into a one and done girl, you know, if you consider these part of my complexion routine. So very, very cool there. And they also are like no creasing, no budging, at least on me. I just find that they, you know, wear beautifully. That is the thing about the IT Cosmetics stuff, is that you just never have to question the performance. Like, you know, if you find your shade, you find something that you like, performance is something that's going to not be a concern. You're going to be seeing a lot more of this Sagrado palette and some more of the Prados, Cheekbone. I got a couple of other brands coming in the mail, but you're going to be seeing definitely a lot more of this palette on my channel, because, I mean, it's just so intuitive. It has everything that I need for like pretty much any eye look. You know, it's like, especially if what I need to do is bring myself back on the rails. This is a bring myself back on the rails, like infinite options, and the formulas are awesome. So that's a really, really exciting purchase. You know what? The Tarte Sculpt tape, I am just not totally convinced. Like, this doesn't do enough for my routine and enough for its appearance to warrant it being its own product. I would far rather grab like the Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer, the cream bronzer, than to grab this. I don't feel confident using the applicator directly on my face, and so what's the point? And I feel like it can't really pick a lane, whether it wants to be a bronzer or a contour. It's more of a bronzer. It just doesn't really work for me and for my skin tone and for the way that I like to wear bronzer and contour, especially because I am conscious of color theory as it pertains to building a believable like shadow on my cheekbone. And like, I feel like the fact that it can't really pick which one it is makes it really unintuitive for me to reach for. So I'm much more likely to use like the Salt New York contour or the contour and then, you know, reach for a separate bronzer. This is super disappointing, especially because Hourglass makes my favorite lip gloss color, which is Provoke from their Unreal collection. And it's just outrageous. It's off the charts, like one of the prettiest kind of desaturated gray, beige, purpley, pinky colors, you know, just like a super desaturated, cool nude. That like this looked like that online. This is the coolest color that's in the whole collection. I was really excited about it. Tide. And truth be told, like I rarely return something, but this just doesn't look good on me at all. It has so much orange in it. I don't recommend these because the swatches are incorrect online. I was so excited about this, but like it's just nothing like what it represented itself to be online. That's really annoying. But look who saved the day. This is great. What a pretty color. I was not expecting it to be so sheer, so present in, like, you know what I mean? It gives such like a nice juicy bounce to the appearance of your lips, but for it to like look so good on me, because it is a black owned brand and this was the only shade that they came out with initially. And I thought, you know, if it's going to be universal, it's going to be universal leaning towards something that's going to flatter more melanated skin. And so I assumed it was going to be more pigmented, you know, or darker, because I've used like, you know, brown lip glosses before that I could get them to work, but I had to sheer them out quite a bit. This is barely tinted and it just adds this beautiful kind of like wash of cool coffee. It's just very pretty, especially if you like a cool tone lip. What it reminds me of is it's kind of like a black lip gloss in that sense, where it just adds a wash, but instead it's this cool brown. And so it doesn't look like the color that it is, it just literally changes the colors of your lips a little bit and cools them off. It's almost like a color adjuster for your lips. And then the spray, you know, it's kind of everywhere, which happens with a lot of things. If it's got a lot of like glycerin or oils in it or something, and it is a biphase, it's supposed to be, I think, like something reparative and then something protective, and then you mix them together and color theory, it makes purple. And I like the appearance of it, I guess. I'm not sure it really made a huge difference because the stuff that I was putting on my skin already had like a nice self-setting glow to it. We'll see. It just didn't like instantly wow me the way that like, you know, Fix Plus does, where you put it on and you just like everything looks like this glycerin sheen and it like melts all your makeup together. But then again, I also didn't put a whole bunch on. So we'll just have to see. The jury's gonna be out on that for a minute, but you know, it's a walk, do not run situation currently. That's the vibe today. I'll list everything that I used down below. Please do use my links in the description to find the products that I talked about today from IT Cosmetics. Again, it's the CC Plus Color Correcting Full Coverage Cream. I have it in Fair. I also really adore the eyeshadow sticks, and my skin has been so happy for this duo right here. The Confidence in Your Beauty Sleep Serum and the Confidence in Your Beauty Sleep Skin Transforming Pillow Cream. So that is the answer to a lot of people's questions about my skincare lately, and I will be sure to share more skincare videos with y'all soon, but that's definitely one of the linchpins of it currently. I want to thank IT Cosmetics for, again, allowing me to try their products and share them with y'all, and for sponsoring a portion of today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed this. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. It really helps out my channel. If you are new here and you're not yet subscribed and you made it all the way to the end of the video, you should probably subscribe, because I mean, if you liked it, my videos are mostly like this, so it'll be just a nice addition to your feed. I will stick a video right here that I chose especially for you that I think that you will enjoy. I love y'all so much. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.